So we're talking about Caffe Vergnano espresso pods. These are alternative to the original Nespresso classic line pods. And I'm not going to just talk about flavors. I want to get into details about the pods themselves, what size coffee drinks they make, the construction of the pods. Does it work well in espresso machines? All that stuff. I want to get into the nitty-gritty details. At the end of the day, for me and for a lot of you, it comes down to variety. Choosing something other than Nespresso, original Nespresso pods, and also cost, right? Because original Nespresso pods are anywhere from 71 cents or 70 cents to $1 for the classic line. And these, if you get them on sale, I was able to get them for 40 cents each. But they also range, anywhere from say 40 cents not on sale to upwards of 70 cents or 80 cents not on sale. So big price difference if you annualize that. But let's get into the differences and see if it's worth it. For starters, there are only like a handful of varieties here. There are 5. I'm missing one of them, I believe. But I have in front of you the decaf. I have the Arabica, Intenso, and Cremoso. And I took a gamble. I actually bought all this stuff and some more packages that you don't see. I got some on the sidelines here. Off reviews. I was able to use my Bed Bath & Beyond coupons, and all in, like I said, I was able to get them for 40 cents each. So I loaded up. I didn't have time to experiment and buy the small package of 10. I actually ended up buying 2 of these and some of the small ones. So these are 50 packs. These are 10. But anyway, it's for starters. Nespresso pods, they do not come individually wrapped. They are sealed, as are these, but these come in plastic. Now, they boast that they are, the pods are compostable, and yet they come in this intense packaging. I say intense because that's one of my peeves or dislikes about these. It actually becomes a pain. I use 2 in the morning, two shots, and you end up having to take these off, and they're pretty well packaged. It's a thick plastic, and it does do the job, I guess, of vacuum sealing it. But at the end of the day, it's easier to just take one out, a regular pod, and pop it in. These you have to unfold it. Now, this leads me to my second peeve. I mean, one of the whole reasons why I got an espresso machine, so I didn't have to deal with all the packing and tamping of my regular portafilter, which ultimately ended up with grinds everywhere. And as it turns out, I don't know if you're going to pick it up. You can certainly see them in here, but very often I do get grinds, both in the packaging and on here. And this I usually try to just wipe off. But at the end of the day, as you insert this into your machine, you're getting extra grinds in there, which is not good. I do a rinse cycle, but whatever. And by the way, I will be showing you a demonstration of this versus the espresso pods, so you get an idea. But first look. They look similar. Hold up. This is the real or the original Nespresso pod for the classic line. You can see this is aluminum. This is not. This is basically a fabric, and I guess that's or some kind of a, I don't know. It's not fabric, but per se, but it is compostable, and it's a softer material. It's definitely not metal. I don't know exactly what it is. It's not plastic either. But upon further inspection, you can actually see there is a difference. A, between the size of the head. And B, this does look a little bit wider, and it is, because these claim to be, the original espressos are anywhere from 5 to 5.5 grams. These claim to be 5. Now, the interesting part, and I want to highlight this part of the whole analysis, is that, as you see here, they recommend one shot. They recommend using this shot for only 30 milliliters for one espresso. A normal ristretto is only 25 milliliters. So they're saying only 5 milliliters more. A typical, and based on Nespresso, if you look at Nespresso's box, and for most people, they consider 40 milliliters one shot. And a lungo would be 110 milliliters. So right off the bat, they're telling you that this will only make, they're supposed to only make 30 milliliters. And I found that to be exactly true. So ultimately, it ended up being a problem in terms of trying to dial in the Nespresso machine. Because as you know, you can, on these classic lines, I have the I'll show you this later, but I have the ESSENZA Mini. You can dial it in terms of deciding how much it pours out. I mean, you can regulate that. It comes defaulted to a certain amount. You can default it to whatever you want, but it makes switching between pods very difficult, because if I have it set up for, let's say, 7 seconds, which comes out to exactly 30 milliliters, then when I stick one of these in, it actually comes up a bit short, right? It's not going to maximize or use this, the proper way. So that ultimately became an issue for me. As far as taste, as you see, I made a big bet on the on the Cremoso based on other reviews that I read. In part, why I'm doing this. I mean, for me, I ended up liking the Intenso much better. Everybody hands down said Cremoso was the best. And by the way, Caffe Vergnano in general, they thought was the best. Alternative to Nespresso pods. Each one had different issues. I found that, I guess the shape is just slightly different. Anyway, I found that these, fit the machine just a bit better. These took a little bit more force for one reason or another. It's not really clear why. But again, Nespresso has their recycling program for these. This is compostable, so I guess you can, it says it right there. You can pick that up. Do these, and then you do have to recycle the plastic. So anyway, I want to do a quick demo. Ultimately, you'll see the issues as far as I'm talking about, but the short of it is, would I buy these again? And I am still debating. I'm going to finish up what I have. I have quite a few. I've already put it in order for more Nespresso, if that tells you anything. But it's kind of like a mixed thing. I don't think, I think in part it's because however these are packed, I don't like the idea that I can't switch back and forth. The idea of using these entirely, well, it doesn't give me a consistent cup, because what I've noticed is that sometimes you start the machine and a little bit of water comes out first, and then it'll, pour out the coffee or drip out. With the original Nespresso pods, I don't have that issue. And as far as taste, my favorite was the Intenso. Is it better than any of the Nespressos? Definitely not. And then you get into a different cost. Now, just 2 days ago, in thinking about making this video, it was pretty clear, the original pods are anywhere from 70 cents to $1. I got these for 40 cents. You annualize that, it's quite a couple $100. But, and I looked, for several weeks, I actually looked to see if I can get these any cheaper. I couldn't. Then sure enough, Bed Bath & Beyond here in the US had a sale internally where if you buy $150 worth, you get $50 back in credit to be used at a future date. And I was able to apply that to these, which brought the cost down to 50 cents each, obviously plus tax. So 50 cents versus, the 40 cents, hands down, I'm going with Nespresso. I think it's a better quality coffee. I think that it works better in the machine. If you can't get it, these, cheaper, and, certainly, these are worth a try. And that's what I would leave you with. There are certain reviews on here, certain items where I say, hands down, just buy it, close your eyes, no issues, trust me, blah, blah, blah. This is one where I'm happy to let you, figure it out. I mean, it's not a clear cut thing. Gun to my head, if I had to give you your money back, I would say, well, go with an Nespresso. But I think it's worth trying. But what I would do is don't do what I did. Don't load up. Don't buy the 50 pack. Buy 10 at a time. The way they come. Try the Arabica. Try the Intenso, and see what you like. So let me give you a quick demo. We'll load up an espresso pod. We'll load up one of these, and just to show you how it works. All right, so now I'm going to just show you the Caffe Vergnano in action. Again, just to compare the original in this hand versus, you can see this is a little bit narrower. And as far as composition, this is actually softer. I can make a little indent here. I cannot do that here. This is quite solid. Can't move that. But anyway, let's see how they perform. We'll go with the Caffe Vergnano first. And this is when I have to press down just a little bit harder. I mean, it's kind of negligible, but it is what it is. All right, so now we're just watching to see if there's any water that comes out first. Sometimes that does happen, and the overall shot. Ready to pop. So you can see it does produce some crema, by the way. This was the cremoso. I'm gonna hold this up for a second. Trip, trip, and there it is. Not a whole lot, but some. All right, and then the espresso. See, that just comes. That you couldn't see it, but that popped in easier, and there was very little or much less resistance when I pressed down to close it. So let's see what this produces. And this is a decaf, by the way. I don't think that should make a difference. But to me, that's already looking a little bit thicker and creamier. I mean, it is just interesting how, and to be fair, these are dialed in for the Caffe Vergnano, not for the Nespresso, because again, these Caffe Vergnano recommends 30 milliliters, whereas Nespresso, the original classic line, they recommend 40 milliliters for their regular espresso shot single. Anyway, let's take a look. You can see arguably a bit more crema. Color-wise, I'd say they're pretty close, almost exact. This is a little bit darker. Color-wise that way. Pretty close. Taste test. So I'm not really trying to compare flavors because they technically are different flavors and taste necessarily, but I will say that this is a little bit more full-bodied. This Nespresso Original Classic tastes like it would hold up to milk a lot better than the Caffe Vergnano. Again, a lot is going to come down to what price you get each, and whether you're putting milk and a bunch of sugar or you're just bringing it straight up pure. That's a personal choice. Let's just take a quick look at what the used pods look like, so you see what's going on here. Both of these are still a bit hot, but you can see this is some kind of like a fabric-y type of material. They both get their holes punched. This looks like it cracked through, although this has those cracks too. Anyway, from a hole punch, you got the 3 punches back there, and hard to tell where it was punched here, if at all. And again, no punctures. So this is obviously working with different technology where the water, because it goes in like this, it's obviously forcing the water through here. But instead of puncturing it, it's just using those little holes that you can see there on the inside. So maybe that has something to do with the taste, the performance, the crema, who knows. I hope you found this helpful. If you did, please do give it a thumbs up. If you have any questions, definitely write them in the comments below. I'll get back to you as soon as possible. Again, thank you for joining me, and I hope to see you soon.